Welcome to Streaming News Network, where we deliver balanced reporting with the facts that matter. Morning Edition by Claude McDaniel. Please like and subscribe.
This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. California lawmakers have approved a state budget that includes two major tax increases, sending the legislation to Governor Gavin Newsom for his consideration. According to the California Taxpayers Association, the combined measures could represent the largest tax increase in California history when measured by total dollars collected. One provision raises taxes on private health insurance premiums. Supporters say the change aligns state tax policy after federal rules required public and private health insurance plans to be taxed at similar rates. Critics argue the increase could raise annual insurance costs by as much as $400 per policy rather than reducing state spending elsewhere. A second proposal would apply state sales taxes to many software purchases. State officials estimate the measure could generate between $2 billion and $3 billion over the next several years. However, taxpayer advocates contend the actual revenue could be substantially higher as more software transactions become subject to taxation. Supporters of the budget say the additional revenue is needed to fund state programs, while opponents warn the tax increases could place added financial pressure on families, businesses, and California's economy. Governor Newsom is widely expected to sign the budget into law. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Authorities in Largo, Florida, are investigating a tragic murder-suicide that left a father and son dead following a late-night argument inside a family home. Deputies with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office responded to reports of a shooting shortly after 10:18 Thursday night. Inside the residence, they found 27-year-old Parth Patel dead from what investigators say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His father, 55-year-old Hitesh Patel, was found suffering from a gunshot wound. Emergency crews transported him to a nearby hospital, where he later died. According to investigators, Parth Patel had traveled from Dublin, Ohio, to visit his family in Florida. During the visit, relatives reportedly observed a noticeable decline in his mental health. Detectives say an argument between father and son escalated after a comment made during the conversation. Investigators believe the son then shot his father before turning the gun on himself. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office has notified the family, and detectives continue to investigate the circumstances leading up to the shooting. No additional information has been released at this time. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. A former pediatric nurse practitioner in New York has been ordered to pay a record civil penalty of $544,000 after state health officials determined she falsified vaccination records for more than 100 school-age children. According to the New York State Department of Health, Julie DeVuono submitted false immunization records between November 2019 and January 2022. Investigators found that at least 162 pediatric patients received fraudulent vaccination documentation involving diseases such as measles, mumps, polio, hepatitis B, and tetanus. Authorities say the scheme involved charging clients for falsified vaccination records and affected families from Long Island, the Hudson Valley, and New York City. The civil penalty follows DeVuono's criminal case, in which she pleaded guilty to money laundering, forgery, and filing false records. She was sentenced to 5 years of probation, surrendered her nursing licenses, and forfeited more than $1,200,000 in proceeds linked to the operation. State officials say the fraudulent immunization records have been removed from health databases, and affected families were required to obtain valid vaccination documentation from licensed healthcare providers. Health officials say they will continue pursuing enforcement actions against those who falsify medical records and compromise public health. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. The United States Department of Justice has filed a federal lawsuit against the state of Maryland, challenging its recently enacted Community Trust Act and alleging the law obstructs federal immigration enforcement. According to the complaint, federal officials argue the law prevents local correctional facilities and law enforcement agencies from cooperating with immigration authorities during detention and deportation operations. The Justice Department contends the measure conflicts with federal immigration law and violates the Constitution's Supremacy Clause, which establishes that federal law takes precedence over conflicting state laws. The lawsuit cites an incident in Worcester County where jail officials reportedly declined to honor an immigration detainer or transfer an individual into federal custody, citing requirements under the Community Trust Act. Maryland's law generally prohibits correctional facilities from transferring individuals to federal immigration authorities without a judicial warrant. Federal officials argue that immigration enforcement may also proceed under administrative warrants authorized by federal law. State leaders maintain that the legislation helps keep local law enforcement focused on public safety while still allowing cooperation with federal authorities in cases involving individuals convicted of serious crimes. The case now moves to federal court, where judges will determine whether Maryland's law is consistent with federal immigration authority. This is Claude McDaniel for Streaming News Network. Authorities in southwest England are investigating the death of former British Member of Parliament and television personality Anne Widdecombe. Police say the 78-year-old was found dead Thursday at her home near Dartmoor National Park. Investigators reported that she suffered serious injuries, and a 26-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder. His identity has not been released. Devon and Cornwall police say the investigation remains in its early stages but is progressing rapidly. Officials also stated there is no evidence at this time to suggest the killing was politically motivated. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer expressed condolences to Widdecombe's family and friends, describing her as a distinguished public servant whose contributions to political life spanned many years. Widdecombe served as a Member of Parliament before becoming widely known through appearances on television programs, including Strictly Come Dancing and Celebrity Big Brother. She later remained active in public life, supporting Brexit and serving as a spokesperson for Reform UK on immigration issues. Tributes have continued from political leaders and colleagues, who remembered her for her outspoken views, public service, and charitable work. The investigation into her death remains ongoing. This is Claude McDaniel of Streaming News Network. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced the deportation of a Laotian man who was granted a pardon by Minnesota state officials just last month. Tu Lu Vang was convicted in 2006 of first-degree criminal sexual conduct for crimes committed against a young girl between 2002 and 2004. Although a final deportation order was issued after his conviction, he remained in the United States for years because Laos did not initially accept deportees. Federal immigration authorities detained Vang during a nationwide immigration enforcement operation in late 2025. A federal judge later ordered his release from Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody. In June, the Minnesota Board of Pardons granted Vang a pardon after he expressed remorse, and the victim submitted a letter stating that she had forgiven him and believed he had changed. This week, Secretary Rubio announced that Vang's legal status had been revoked, allowing federal authorities to take him into custody and remove him from the United States. The case has drawn strong reactions from Republican officials, who criticized the state pardon, while Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's office had not publicly commented at the time of this report. The Department of Homeland Security says Vang first entered the United States in 1994 and that his legal status was revoked following his criminal conviction. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. A former press secretary in the Obama administration has been fired from his position as Chief Communications Officer for the city of Minneapolis following allegations of workplace theft and credit card fraud. Police are investigating claims that 42-year-old Adam Fetcher stole cash and credit cards from fellow city employees and used the cards to make unauthorized purchases, including hundreds of dollars in kratom, a legal herbal product sometimes used to manage opioid withdrawal symptoms. Investigators say surveillance video reportedly captured Fetcher using one of the stolen credit cards at a local smoke shop. Store employees later contacted police after learning the purchase had allegedly been made without the cardholder's permission. According to reports, the alleged incidents occurred between May and June, several weeks after Fetcher returned from a leave of absence for treatment related to a substance use disorder. Fetcher, who previously held communications positions in the White House and private industry, was dismissed from his city position on July 1. Minneapolis officials have informed employees that there is no indication of any continuing theft risk. Police have submitted the case to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office, which is reviewing the evidence to determine whether criminal charges will be filed. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. The owner of a Minnesota daycare center featured in a widely viewed online investigation has pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges connected to two government-funded assistance programs as reported by Nick Shirley. Federal court records show that Fahima Mahamud, chief executive officer of Future Leaders Early Learning in Minneapolis, admitted guilt to one count of wire fraud and one count of conspiracy to defraud the United States as part of a plea agreement. Prosecutors say the daycare received more than $850,000 through the Feeding Our Future program in 2021 by claiming to have served far more meals to children than were actually provided. Authorities also allege that between October 2022 and November 2025, Mahamud submitted more than $4,600,000 in claims through the Federal Child Care Assistance Program while failing to collect required family co-payments. The daycare center gained national attention after it appeared in a viral online video questioning whether several taxpayer-funded daycare facilities were operating as reported. A sentencing date has not yet been announced. The guilty plea marks another significant development in the broader Feeding Our Future investigation, one of the largest pandemic-era fraud cases prosecuted in Minnesota. This is Claude McDaniel with Streaming News Network. Viral online reports claiming that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were married at Madison Square Garden in New York City have not been confirmed by credible official sources. The reports allege the event included more than 1,000 guests, extensive security provided by the New York Police Department and the National Guard, and a wedding budget estimated at $30 million. The stories also claim New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani said the event organizers paid more than $160,000 in permit and security costs. However, Streaming News Network has found no official confirmation from Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, New York City officials, Madison Square Garden, or other reliable public records verifying that such a wedding took place or that these statements were made. As with many stories that gain traction on social media, viewers are encouraged to rely on verified information from official sources before accepting extraordinary claims as fact. We'll continue to follow this story and provide updates if credible information becomes available.
Thank you for listening to Streaming News Network videos and our audio reports. Please like and subscribe to our news channel.